welcome back to Two Tall Guys Talking Sales. We're your hosts. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Sean.
And we are glad you're here. Thanks for joining us. In this podcast, we talk about real sales issues, big and small, for salespeople, selling situations, and sales leadership. Collectively, we have over 50 years of sales, selling leadership, and sales acumen under our belts, and we're here to share a little bit of that with you in the next 15 minutes. We're glad you're here. Enjoy the show.
Halloween is over. You know how I knew Halloween was over? I was walking into my local Home Depot because I have to do some work around the house and I needed some stuff. And all the Halloween stuff was down. It was awesome. I didn't have all the scary stuff that they want to put in the yard. And it was fantastic. But you know what was in its place? It was all that Christmas stuff is all out there. Now there's more stuff to put in my yard. And that's all the Christmas stuff because here it is the week after Halloween. And forget Thanksgiving. It's time for Christmas, according to my Home Depot. But you know what that told me? That told me it's time to think about kickoff. The kickoff being the annual kickoff meeting for the team. And most of my clients, and I'm sure the same is true for you, you're based on a calendar year for your sales team, for your fiscal year. And we have to sit down and start planning for what is next year. What's that annual kickoff meeting going to be? Now, I'm not talking about bringing in Christmas trees and bringing in Santa Claus, but what do you have to do to get ready for the annual kickoff meeting that should be first couple weeks in January to get your team ready to go?
The short story here is, Sean, is you're a much bigger fan of Christmas than you are of Halloween.
I'm just saying in general that there was a lot of Halloween stuff and now there's a lot of Christmas stuff. I'm getting tired of all this stuff.
Good planning is good planning, no matter if it's sales planning or inventory turnover planning. This is an appropriate time for us to talk about what does an annual sales meeting look like? We've led them, we've been to them, we've organized them, we've attended them. We've done all of the roles around them, including being the keynote or the guest speaker who gets to come in and energize the team. But I think it's important for everybody listening to know that they don't just happen. It's kind of like hitting quota. You don't just wake up and hit quota. You don't wake up and hit a marathon. You don't wake up and pull off an annual sales meeting. Annual sales meeting is supposed to be what? It's supposed to be the event where everybody comes together. They've already got their quotas. They've already been briefed on what products are coming out. They've been brought up to speed. Now it's time to put the plan in motion. So if you're a seasoned sales leader or an owner who's facing doing one of these, now is the time to start planning. It's time to pull the Halloween decorations down and get ready for New Year's because we're about to tackle a brand new zero revenue dollars sold quota. It's time to climb the mountain.
I love how you said it's time for being at zero revenue because that's what it is. The year is over. We did what we did. We can't go back and fix it. Everything's from before is over. 2023 is over. Now you're at 2024. And guess what? You haven't sold a single thing yet. So now it's time to energize the team and get them going. So let's talk about the things that you need to do to have a good sales meeting. Now, let's build the scenario, build the persona that we're talking about for our clients or for our listeners here. Most of our listeners are not working for, not the VP of sales, the CEO of a 500-person sales organization where they're going to have people flying in from all over the world. Most of the people listening to this podcast are small companies. In fact, that's what we focus on. So let's just say they have 5 to 10 salespeople. Maybe half of them are kind of local to them, and the other half maybe aren't so local. So if you haven't done it so already, you better be looking for a venue. And I strongly suggest that for the annual sales meeting, we don't do it inside the building that we work in every day. We go somewhere else. It doesn't have to be somewhere exotic. Just take the hotel down the street from your building, the other side of the city, whatever the case may be. But don't have it in your building, have it somewhere else so that people are not tempted to go talk to Larry in purchasing and go talk to Sally in order entry. Those are important conversations, but they aren't the time for the annual kickoff meeting. So let's look for a venue. Let's look for what we're going to do and then figure out who's going to be there. Is it just going to be the salespeople? Is it going to be the guy in purchasing that you want to bring into the sales meeting as well, because that's an important process that you want your salespeople to work on. It's going to be the order entry people. Do they need to come to that meeting as well? So figure out who's going to be there outside of sales, but book the room today. If you haven't done it yet, you're probably a couple weeks late. So hurry up and get that done.
And when you're thinking about this, one thing Sean and I wanted to make sure we put a punctuation, an exclamation mark after is this. This is not your sales planning meeting. We're not setting forecasts and quotas. That's been done. You're going to have all that done before December because you've got to reintroduce all of your comp plans in early December to your team. This is the meeting where we put it all into motion. I like to have a method where we bring the salespeople in, but we bring in the key resources that sales should be working with. We're current on the project updates for the sales teams. There's an IT component. We're current on product launches or releases, looking out to Q2, Q3 of the year. What's upcoming so we don't get blindsided by a delay or something? What should we be talking about? Building around all those tools gets us ready to go. We're trying to set calls, and you never stop selling, but you got to have at least some time where you say, now's the go button on the new year. And it's so important for that venue to be creative, a place outside the office. It's distractionless and it's creative, so you get your best thinking without also looking at, did my office get cleaned this past weekend, or have I updated all of my stuff around the office? This is a really important time for you as a owner, leader, manager, or salesperson to critically think about how you're going to achieve your goal. You've got the goal, but now it's time to go get it. And what resources are available to you? You should come away from that meeting knowing and feeling motivated about what the task is ahead that you've been assigned.
When you start thinking about who should be in the room, you might want to think about your marketing team, whether there be local inside your business, or maybe you outsource some of that. Your website developer, your website manager, that person or that team may be not in your building. They may be a vendor to you. They may want to be brought in at least for part of the meeting, maybe not all of it, but definitely part of it, that kickoff scenario. And I also think you need to have something that is motivating for the group. And I strongly suggest that you have a guest speaker. They've heard you as the sales manager speak every week at every single meeting that you do. They don't need to hear you speak again, even though you're going to. They've heard your CEO speak once again. Don't need to hear that again unless it's really important. And the CEO is going to speak no matter what. So think about, what luminary can you bring in? What important person can you bring in to really motivate the group? Maybe it's the local high school football coach. Maybe it's the mayor of the town, depending on the size of the city that you happen to be in. Maybe it's a fractional CMO or somebody like that can talk about it. Maybe it's somebody from the local chamber of commerce that can talk about what's going on in the community. But bring somebody in to enliven the group, to tell a story, to get the group thinking about a group dynamic. I think it's really important to talk not just about work, but about life and the community that your company is in, and bring that to bear as well. And if you really wanted to, you could bring in Kevin or Sean or both, and that would be fun, because then we could do two tall guys talking sales in your sales meeting, and that would be a lot of fun to do as well.
That'd be a lot of fun. It's always fun to get up in front of groups. I spoke to a sales team where I did that keynote a couple of years ago, and it was fun because it was an hour. It was local. It was an hour, and they were a really receptive team. And they had in their mix of people, they had IT, they had service delivery, they had inside sales and outside sales. They had a marketing person from their marketing team talking about a new product they were rolling out before me. So just that situational kind of get people excited. I attended a sales meeting where they had an economist come in. And I got to think, I was like, where did an economist come in to speak to 20 or 30 people? How did they get that person here? And it turns out, and I learned this afterwards, that you can talk to your vendors. They may have somebody on staff. If you're dealing with a very large vendor and you have a dedicated salesperson for you, whatever you're buying and reselling or buying and installing, they may have an economist on staff. And economists provide great insight. Sean, your idea about the chamber or the Economic Development Council, or we're lucky here in Cincinnati, we have a branch of the Federal Reserve here. There's Fed resources here for us, Small Business Administration. All these people want to help businesses like ours. So my proposal is let them.
I agree 100%. Your banker may have resources that you can draw on. So call your banker up. Your banker would love to come in and talk or have somebody in their world to come in and talk about what's going on in the economy as well. So all these people are excellent people to bring in, but you should have one guest speaker. That guest speakers probably should be in the afternoon of the first day. They should come in and talk to kind of enliven the group, challenge the group, get them to think outside of the box a little bit, tell a story. You could also reach out to perhaps the Sandler people or somebody like that. If there's a sales training group that you like, they can come in and talk about best practices in sales. All of those things are great avenues for a guest speaker. You want to have something motivating for the group for them to get excited about and move forward. And I'm going to caution you, be careful about death by PowerPoint. So many sales meetings are set up to be lots of PowerPoints over and over and over again. And what you end up having is a boring sales meeting. So try not to be boring. Try to do something extra. It's also might be a good time in maybe the second day, if you have a 2 or 3 day meeting, to do something for the community, to do something that helps somebody out. Go work at the Salvation Army, go work at a food bank, whatever. Those are always good things. You know, Kevin, you and I, a year ago, we worked at the local children's hospital at the Ronald McDonald House. That was really uplifting, and everybody that was part of that enjoyed doing that. So those are also other activities to help out. There's plenty of places where you can volunteer to take care of a mile of the highway close to your company. Go do that. Go pick up trash. Those little activities become bonding experiences for your sales team and get them all working together. They bond with their marketing people. They bond with the production guy. They bond with the designer and developers or whoever else is in your company that you want to have come along. And those are good things to do for the annual kickoff meeting as well.
So let's take this prescriptively. We're almost at the 15-minute mark here, so I want to make sure that somebody can take away action on our suggestions here. So prescriptive flow, definitely a dedicated day at minimum. My preference for any business, no matter what your size is, I don't care if you are the owner and CEO and head cook and bottle washer, you need to dedicate planning time. So make sure you've got at least a day, preferably 2 at minimum, to do this kickoff, because you're going to engage content and people. Time frame 2 days. Needs to be outside of your office. So we're planning that now. We're thinking prescriptively about what should the flow of the meeting look like. Come with a plan. We're going to tackle year-end recap, and that's going to be fairly short because we've sat through all the sales meetings to date. Then we're going to go into some sort of creative space, get people thinking about what's upcoming. There's going to be the opportunity to review any new products coming out, services being released, updates, enhancements. We're going to also talk about fun stuff at some point. We're going to have an evening event, dinner or something. And then, Sean, I agree with you entirely. Finding those bonding moments beyond the boardroom is really important for any team dynamic to grow and thrive. Make sure you're checking in on your culture, all the tools that are missing, all the tools that are not being utilized or used, and involve your other departments. So make sure you've got the time set apart for those specific things. Sales meetings get the bad rap for going somewhere, eating big, playing golf, being rowdy, and all the things that we actually don't do. We spend a lot of time thinking about the business. So in summary, this is a really strategic meeting, and for you to lead, make sure you're planning now. Don't let this be off the cuff. This one meeting could be the difference in next year being up, flat, or down.
If by planning, you need to have the resources put together, have your speakers put together, think of that one specific message that you want your salespeople to adopt and learn and make that happen. Go ahead and have a learning education kind of session for them as well. Definitely do that bonding experience. And more than anything, start every day on time and end every day on time, just like we're going to end this podcast on time because it's 15 minutes right now. So thank you very much for your time. Happy selling. Thank you very much for joining us on this podcast of Two Tall Guys Talking Sales. We hope that we were able to share some valuable insight, valuable knowledge with you to make your selling adventures easier, and more successful. Please join us every week. We drop these on Tuesday afternoon at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Please subscribe to us in your favorite podcast player. Also, please join us on LinkedIn, where we do a CEO workshop. And that CEO workshop is dedicated monthly to big questions that CEOs are having and how to grow their business and drive sales. You can find us on LinkedIn. Just search for Two Tall Guys Talking Sales. Thank you very much. Have a great day.